Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll get started here in just a couple minutes, right on time here at the top of the hour. While we're just waiting for a few others to join, pull up the chat window. This is meant to be interactive, so we can have a chat if you've got any questions as we're going through the presentation. I'll watch for your questions. We'll get them answered. Let me know where you're calling in from. So I'm here in Central Canada, about 8 hours north of Minneapolis, just near Winnipeg. And it's nice and sunny here today. We're still enjoying the end of our winter here. Looking forward to our short summers. Okay, let me share my screen here just so we're ready to go right at the top of the hour. Okay, should be able to see my screen. And we'll get started here right away. All right, so we like on-time commissioning. That's why we're going to start here right on time. Snowing in Oakville right now. Hopefully we don't get any more snow. We've had enough snow here this year. All right, so today's presentation is on commissioning project management using top-rated commissioning software and industry-best workflows and templates. So you're about to get the #1 framework to standardize and streamline your commissioning. So like I mentioned earlier, this is meant to be interactive. So if you haven't already, pull up the chat. And if you have any questions as we're going through the material, shoot them into the chat window. I'll get your questions answered as we go through here. I'll also have a Q&A at the end. If you've got any questions, we can get them answered there as well. Now, I've used the commissioning systems and processes we're going to discuss today on several projects. I've started out applying these advanced commissioning principles in the aerospace industry, building satellites and rockets for the Canadian Space Agency in Eastern Canada here. I then used the same approach to commissioning in the power industry, building hydroelectric generation projects and HVDC transmission projects here in Central Canada. I've used these same frameworks in the water treatment industry, expanding and upgrading wastewater treatment plant facilities not too far away from here. I'm also on the organizing committee for the Commissioning Professionals Society, where we hold an annual event where some of the best and brightest minds in the commissioning industry all come together, and we discuss some of the challenges faced by the industry and how we can elevate the importance of commissioning on projects. It's a really good event. So my team and I at Commissioning Expert Solutions, we help project teams upgrade from their old commissioning processes to more modern commissioning systems using top-rated commissioning software, industry best processes, and project-specific training. This allows project teams to capture the knowledge of their wise commissioning experts before they retire, onboard new commissioning team members as they grow and expand with the huge volume of work that we're faced with here, and helps them standardize and streamline their commissioning so they can save time and money completing projects. And I'm going to show you how to do this today so you can do the same on your projects. We've helped several others standardize and streamline their commissioning projects. For example, Sheldon or Jonald or Kale and many others. After working with us, they all tell me the same, that this was an eye-opener. They had no idea what they were missing in their tracking spreadsheets and how much it was hurting their projects. They tell me that this was the first commissioning system they've found that fully matches with what really happens at site. And that's because it does. It's based on real world experience. This isn't theoretical textbook stuff. They all tell me that they knew they needed to address some of the issues they've been facing with commissioning, but they just didn't have a good solution to actually make it happen. And you can go to our website at commissioningandstartup.com. At the top in the menu, you can click on success stories and you can see the many other people that we've helped on projects as well. Everyone's saying these systems and processes are great stuff. They're helping a lot of people complete projects, and they can definitely help you on your projects too. So just to be clear, though, this is not technical commissioning. If you're here looking for how to do primary and secondary injections on 230 kV switch gear, or you're looking for specific flushing standards for food grade piping, or if you're looking how to do mechanical checkout of a chemical plant, or you want to know the detailed startup sequence of a water treatment facilities, you're not going to get any of that here. That's not what this presentation is about. You're not going to find technical commissioning in any type of course anyways, but technical commissioning is not typically what's missing on projects, though, is it? There's a lot of smart people working on projects, and they'll get the testing completed one way or the other. What's often missing on projects is the structure that's supposed to go around the technical commissioning. What's missing are the commissioning systems and processes in advance of on-site testing to ensure your technical commissioning experts have what they need and they have everything that's required for testing to go smoothly. Let's look at a simple org chart. There's three main functions on a project, as we know, right? There's design processes. You got to get all the equipment designed. You got to get everything installed during construction, and then you have to get everything tested at the end of your project through your commissioning process. Or if you've got an EPC contract and your design and construction are part of the same group, this all still applies as well. There's typically someone to manage the design, and they're following design best practices. And there's always someone to manage construction. There's an entire industry dedicated to construction project management. But where are the systems and processes for commissioning? On a lot of projects, they only exist as spreadsheets, or they don't even exist at all. And commissioning becomes a scramble to complete at the end of your project because there was no organized approach to get what you needed from earlier groups so that the commissioning can go smoothly. When the last part of projects, the most complex part, when everything has to start working together as one system, has no standardized systems and processes to make sure everything is complete, commissioning can be an absolute nightmare at the end. There is a gap in the industry, and commissioning often gets overlooked while groups are more focused on design and construction, right? And it's no wonder projects are late and over budget when projects have no standardized methods to complete commissioning. Spreadsheets just don't cut it anymore. Projects are just far too complex. And we're working with lots of different groups on projects that all have varying levels of understanding of what commissioning is really all about. This is the gap that we help you fill by implementing systems and processes to standardize your construction completions and your commissioning so that you can clearly convey to others what's required for commissioning to avoid delays during testing and complete commissioning as efficiently as possible to save time and money on projects. This presentation is for project managers that want an organized approach to finish capital projects during commissioning, for commissioning managers that need more streamlined processes than their spreadsheets, and for companies that want to avoid losing time and money at the end of projects due to delayed commissioning. Without systems and processes to standardize commissioning, project teams are just gambling. You might get a contractor's A team that understands commissioning and you can get what you need for commissioning, or it's often that you might get a contractor's B team or C team that's brand new to commissioning. We're always working with a broad range of people on projects, and their understanding of a complex topic like commissioning will always vary to both extremes. There's just no way to get what you need in both of these situations unless you have consistent systems and processes so that commissioning goes smoothly. With no standardized way to complete projects, it's the Wild West. You roll the dice and you see what you get at the end. It's a complete crapshoot. And I'm sure you've had these experiences where some projects go extremely well during commissioning and others are a nightmare to finish because there's just so much missing. So let's get that fixed for you with systems and processes to standardize your construction completions and commissioning so that you can complete commissioning much more efficiently and much more consistently on your projects. And at the end of this presentation, if you'd like some help to implement your completion systems, I'll show you how with the services that we offer so you can save time and money completing your projects during commissioning as well. So if this all sounds interesting to you, then I'm glad you're here. So first, I want to share some statistics with you that are quite concerning. This is Professor Bent Flibberg. He's from the University of Oxford, And he's compiled a database of over 16,000 projects from the last several decades. He's also written a book. It's called How Big Things Get Done. If you haven't read it, it's an excellent book. You should check it out. Professor Flibberg's research shows that only 8.5% of projects are on time and on budget. That means over 90% of projects are late and over budget. That's terrible. The construction industry definitely has a terrible track record of completing projects. The complexity of completing construction and commissioning is one of the main contributing factors to delays when there is no consistent approach to commissioning. A lot of projects ignore commissioning until it's too late. They're missing important aspects in contracts, or they're missing details with their paper and spreadsheet processes and leaving everything to the end for the poor commissioning guys to sort out at the end, right? And these outdated methods just can't keep up with the volume of work that's ahead of us on projects. So today I'm going to show you how to structure your commissioning so that you can beat these odds and have your projects succeed with commissioning. So let me know in the chat, what's been your experience on projects with commissioning? Do your projects typically go well? Is commissioning a scramble at the end? Do you have systems and processes to manage commissioning, or are you still using spreadsheets? Are you meeting your project dates? Are you missing your project dates? Let me know how smoothly your commissioning typically goes in the chat. Now, to be clear, there are lots of challenges in the construction industry, and another good book to read is Built to Fail by Todd Zabel. It's a brand new book. It was released earlier this year. And Mr. Zabel talks about all the things wrong with the current approach to design and construction, and he talks about what to do to fix it. Regardless, with the challenges that exist in all phases of projects, it means you need to have a robust system for construction completions and commissioning to ensure that you're ready to face any challenge that comes your way, so you can successfully complete your projects during commissioning, regardless of what issues you're faced with. We're determined to get you the best methods for commissioning with the best tools and the best processes required to get the job done efficiently, and so you're ready to face any commissioning challenge that comes your way. The first thing people often ask me when I give this presentation is, well, just tell me the software to use. I'll follow that. And when I hear these questions, though, I'm already concerned because there's a little bit more to commissioning than just what software to use. You're never going to find that magic software that tells you how to commission your project because, of course, each project is different and you need your specific commissioning workflows in how you do your specific work implemented within the right software. So first, let's address the problems of what not to do for commissioning before we talk about the systems and workflows that you need to use. Projects are having problems. We know this. The data shows us that 9 out of 10 projects are late and over budget. Projects are losing time during commissioning and they're missing their in-service dates. Projects are losing money due to delays during commissioning, and projects can be a nightmare at the end during commissioning if you don't get this stuff set up properly earlier in your projects. But why is this? Why are projects struggling with commissioning? We need to address these problems before I can show you what to do. There are 2 common mistakes, and just by fixing these 2 mistakes, projects can see huge improvements. So what are these mistakes? The first mistake is leaving commissioning to the end of projects. We've been told for many decades that commissioning takes place at the end of projects, right? We need to finish construction, and then we're going to test things at the end. But this is actually not true. This is, of course, what a lot of projects do is they cross their fingers and roll the dice at the end of the project. And maybe you've had this experience on project, but this is what leads to problems on projects. In fact, to be successful, your commissioning software and your workflows need to be set up much earlier during your feed and during your procurement processes. You need to make sure that systems and processes for commissioning are established early in your projects if you want on-site testing to go smoothly at the end. It's the only way to make sure that all earlier groups are aligned for a successful finish during commissioning. When you get these systems set up too late, there's just no way to be proactive. All problems are left to the end of your project, and there's no time to recover. Groups are completing their tasks, which may or may not align with what's required for commissioning, and things get off track pretty quickly. If you get these systems set up too late, then there's no systems-based approach to completing projects. Design, construction, and commissioning are all out of alignment and do not align with your project startup sequence. When you get these systems set up too late, it's just difficult to realign project groups on what's required for commissioning that late in the project, and the damage is already done before on-site testing even begins. It's exactly like Stephen Covey says in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. You must be doing this on capital projects by getting your commissioning system set up early in projects. Project groups must have a clear vision of what success looks like during commissioning, and the only way to do that is by defining your systems and processes for commissioning early in projects. Commissioning is complex, and you can't expect others to know exactly what you need for commissioning. The only way to give everyone clarity on what success looks like during commissioning is by planning projects from right to left, starting with a clear understanding of what's required to achieve your project in service date, which of course is a clear understanding of what's required for successful commissioning and startup, and working backwards from there. What's required for construction groups to achieve successful commissioning and startup, what's required from design and procurement groups to achieve successful construction. A lot of projects don't do this though. They plan projects from left to right, and then they miss their in-service date and wonder why. And the only way to plan projects from right to left is by getting your commissioning systems and processes established early in your project so that everyone on your project team has a clear understanding of what success looks like during commissioning. Spreadsheets just can't do this, and Primavera alone can't do this as well. You need a better way to align all projects groups so that commissioning goes smoothly at the end of your projects. There's just no way to successfully complete projects unless you start with the end in mind. It's like that for everything, and projects are no different. You wouldn't go on your family summer road trip without first determining where you're going. Of course not. Your kids would drive you absolutely nuts in the back asking, "Are we there yet?" when you don't even know where you're going. And this is why it's critical to implement standardized commissioning systems and processes earlier in your project so everyone knows the objectives to achieve during commissioning. The goalposts are clearly defined for everyone to see, and everyone understands how their role contributes to successful commissioning and startup so that all project groups are aligned and working towards the same goal. Mistake number 2 is a lot of projects are still using paper and spreadsheets. And in today's information age, that just doesn't cut it anymore. This maybe worked 20 years ago, but projects are just far too complex now, and there's just too many documents and too much information, and it's impossible to keep track of manually in Excel. And besides, maybe you understand what's being tracked in spreadsheets and they help you complete commissioning, but others certainly don't understand what's in your spreadsheets. Ask anyone else on your project, and they've each got a different opinion of what's required for commissioning. You might expect that design and construction groups should know what's required for commissioning, but commissioning is complex. It's not reasonable to expect others to know what's required. Spreadsheets just don't capture the complexity of commissioning to help others understand what's needed. We need a better way to show all the details to all project groups so that nothing gets missed. And another thing, projects move pretty fast. Manual tracking and spreadsheets just can't keep up. We need real-time data to make real-time decisions, and we can't wait until Friday for the spreadsheet to get updated to get the information we need. We need access to the information now. Successful project teams are no longer using paper and spreadsheets, and I'll show you what they're using. When projects use paper and spreadsheets, there's just no way to show everyone how to get to the end. You might be able to look down on the labyrinth and you can see the path to get to the end because you've done this before and you understand commissioning, but everyone else on your project is stuck in the maze and they're busy every day, but they're looking for the commissioning team's guidance on how to get to the end. And spreadsheets just can't show everyone else the detailed steps of what's required for commissioning to get through to the end of your project. And when everyone has a different idea of how to navigate to the end of projects during commissioning, it's super difficult to complete project when everyone's going in different directions. With no clear view of commissioning, project teams spend more time talking about the work rather than actually getting the work done. Things get missed, and you spend more time stuck in meetings explaining what's required for commissioning rather than actually getting the work done. We need a better way to organize our teams so we can get projects completed more efficiently during commissioning. When projects make one or more of these two mistakes, when they leave commissioning to the end, or if they're still using paper and spreadsheets to manage commissioning, we call this cowboy commissioning. When projects suffer from cowboy commissioning, commissioning is inconsistent. Maybe some projects go well, but others are a disaster based on inconsistent completions from previous groups. Project teams miss deadlines, and commissioning is a last-minute scramble to complete, and delays during commissioning become very expensive to fix. So, any questions so far? Is this all making sense? What's been your experience on projects? Have some of your projects suffered from cowboy commissioning, or do they typically go much better than that? Let me know. So these are the two most common mistakes on projects: leaving commissioning to the end of projects and still using paper and spreadsheets. These are the two main reasons why commissioning can be a struggle. And if you fix just these two things by getting systems and processes for commissioning set up early in your projects, you'll make huge improvements on your projects with more consistent results during commissioning to avoid costly delays at the end of your project. All right. So let's look at the software systems to use. There's actually over 25 different software platforms that you can choose from. Now, we don't make software. None of the items on this list are ours. What we've done is we've compiled this list of the options that are available to choose from. We've reviewed several of these options and we know which ones are the best to use. What I'll do is I'll send you a copy of this list after this presentation so you can review it more closely. You can see the options that are available. And then once you've had a chance to review, you can book a call and we'll get you set up with the right one to use for your projects. When you get the right commissioning software for your projects, you're able to get much more consistency from construction groups. The transition from bulk construction to systems-based commissioning becomes so much easier to manage because you have a defined process to get what you need for all the different types of groups that you're going to be working with on projects, regardless of their understanding of what's required for commissioning. And software allows you to standardize and streamline your commissioning processes, allowing you to complete projects much more efficiently and ultimately save time and money during commissioning. However, when you don't have the right software, or worse, you're still using paper and spreadsheets, you'll always get inconsistent results on projects. If you work with good contractors, you'll likely have good results during commissioning, but that's not always the case, is it? You're going to end up with contractors that are less familiar with commissioning, and your commissioning probably isn't going to go as well in those cases. And that's because your spreadsheets just can't effectively convey what you need for commissioning. There's just no way to get consistency amongst all the different groups on projects when you're still using spreadsheets. You're not able to manage your gated commissioning workflows. Spreadsheets are good as a list to track a bunch of things, but spreadsheets can't manage a process. And if you only have spreadsheets, then you're entirely relying on your people to manage the process. And guess what? When you're entirely relying on your people to manage commissioning and you have no processes to back them up, well, your old and wise commissioning experts are going to retire at some point and take all their expertise with them. And all you're going to be left with is your old outdated spreadsheets with everyone looking around at each other wondering what to do. You need a method to capture this tacit expertise knowledge, and these software systems allow you to do that. Now, these software systems are all cloud-based platforms, and something I hear often is that your IT department just won't allow it. It needs to be part of their network. Now, when you get the right system, these systems are built on the most secure server networks in the world. And I assure you that the big data companies like Amazon and Google that have teams of thousands of people implementing the most advanced security technology available, they have much more secure systems than your IT department of 4 people can put together. So you can let your IT group know that these systems are likely more secure than what they have. One thing to note, these software systems are certainly a big piece of the equation to finish projects. They're just not the biggest piece. Completing projects during commissioning is not fundamentally about software. Software is a tool to facilitate your project completions. And commissioning is complex. We know that, right? So naturally, the software systems are complex too. What you define in the software for the processes and workflows that you use for commissioning is what will determine if you're successful with these tools. The value isn't in these software tools themselves. The value is in knowing how to apply these tools during commissioning so you can get the best value for your projects. And we unfortunately see a lot of project teams applying these tools incorrectly, and they end up hurting their projects more than helping them complete commissioning. So I don't want you to fall into this trap, which is why we help project teams get these systems set up properly so they can make the best use of them during commissioning. So I'll send you a copy of this list that's on the screen after this presentation so you can check it out a bit further. These are the workflows that need to be implemented within your commissioning software systems. And I'm sure you're very familiar with most of these, so I won't go through all the details here. I'll send you a copy of this as well after this presentation so you can review it a bit more in detail, and you can review and make sure that you're not missing any workflows in your commissioning processes. A couple things to note. Your commissioning workflows, of course, must align with your contracts. And if your project has already started, then your contracts have already been awarded, and you're probably not going to be able to change those at that point. But that's okay, because implementing these systems can be an iterative process. For example, it would be ideal if construction groups were working directly in the software systems to complete their construction and quality checks within these workflows. But if contracts are awarded, then that's not likely going to happen unless you want to pay a huge change order, which you're just not going to do. So that's fine. If you get the right system, the workflows are flexible, and you can have construction groups upload their quality documents they're already working with in the software in whatever workflows meet your needs. And those will all get reviewed within your construction completion workflows. So it can be an iterative process. Perhaps on your second or third project using these systems, you can include details of how construction groups are to use these systems. So over time, you can continually improve your commissioning processes. When you get the right system, it can essentially adapt and grow with you as you incorporate more of this into your commissioning processes, so that you can get better efficiencies on each project. So I don't have to tell you that there's quite a bit involved for commissioning to be successful. There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle to put together. It's just that spreadsheets can't manage this level of detail. Commissioning is too complex, and the details quickly get lost in spreadsheets. So if you're still using spreadsheets, or you're using some crappy software that your IT department told you to use, it means one of two things. It means either you're doing all of this by brute force and relying entirely on your people to implement a process, or it means you're missing some or all of these workflows in your commissioning. And neither of these situations is good. Not good for you and your project team, because you're burning out a lot of good people and driving them away from the industry with outdated brute force methods. And not good for your projects, because you're leaving all the risk to the end of your project during commissioning, which often results in projects being late and over budget due to delays during commissioning. All pieces of the commissioning puzzle are required, and all of them must be included early in projects if you want commissioning to consistently go well. And commissioning is a complex puzzle to solve, which is why we offer support to get the systems and processes you need to standardize your commissioning and get better consistency in completing projects. When one or more of these puzzle pieces is missing, when you're missing critical workflows for commissioning, or you're not using top-rated software systems to manage commissioning, your commissioning will always be a brute force effort to complete. You'll never get consistency transitioning from construction to commissioning, and incomplete construction will continue to result in costly delays during commissioning. Design issues will impact your progress, and your cowboy commissioning will always be hit and miss, depending on the groups that you're working with on projects. Standardized systems and processes for commissioning are required to make sure you get all pieces of the commissioning puzzle in place so that everyone has the same understanding of commissioning to avoid costly mistakes at the end of your projects. Imagine how much easier it would be to complete commissioning if you had a system that told you exactly what was complete for construction and everything that was still outstanding. No more sending your commissioning team into the field to discover all the hidden Easter eggs on their own. Wouldn't it be easier to know in advance, before even mobilizing to site, if systems are in fact ready for commissioning? Imagine how much time you could save on projects if you had a system that could do that. That's what you get with these systems when you implement them properly on your projects. So here's the top reasons of why you need to upgrade your project's current commissioning spreadsheet processes. Have you ever wondered why some projects go well, but then others are a nightmare to complete during commissioning? Well, that's because you have no consistent process to get what you need from earlier design and construction groups. And when you have no process, then you're entirely relying on how well people understand commissioning. And we work with a lot of different groups on projects, and their understanding of commissioning is always going to vary. So if you want to reduce this variability on projects and get more consistent results from construction groups so commissioning goes smoothly, then you need standardized systems and processes for construction completions and commissioning to ensure consistency across all your projects. Because as long as you rely 100% on people with no processes to back them up, then your results on projects will always vary. I'm sure you're well aware of the huge volume of project work that's ahead of us and the lack of skilled resources to get the job done. There's just a massive amount of projects that are in the queue for electrification, for decarbonization, and all the climate change initiatives that we're undertaking in the world. There's just an unprecedented amount of work to complete projects and very few skilled resources to actually get it all done. On top of this, our old and wise commissioning experts are all retiring. Even though some of them don't want to retire, they will eventually leave projects and take their expertise with them, right? And if you want to transfer this knowledge to your younger generations, then you need to have a system to do that. Otherwise, you're just left with a bunch of outdated spreadsheets that aren't going to help anyone complete projects. It's literally brutal out there. Even finding new people to join projects is extremely competitive, and it's going to get even more fierce as the workload increases and more commissioning experts retire. So if you want to take on more projects and grow and expand, then you're not going to be able to do that with outdated processes. Your spreadsheets just aren't going to cut it. For two reasons: you're not going to be able to take on multiple projects at the same time when you're still tracking everything in spreadsheets. The volume of work will just very quickly overwhelm you. And secondly, you're not going to track the skilled labor you need to work on projects using old methods for commissioning. They'll just go down the street to work on another project that's using better technology to make their jobs easier. So if you want to grow and expand and take on more of this huge volume of project work by capturing your wise commissioning experts' knowledge and be able to compete for the limited resources that are available, you're going to have to start using more sophisticated systems to manage commissioning. And the third reason, of course, is time and money. That's the driver for everything, right? And when you can save time and money on projects by completing commissioning more efficiently with these systems and processes, then if you don't do this, then the next guy will, and he's got an advantage over you. And when there's so much time and money at stake on projects, there's a huge opportunity for savings with even just small incremental gains. By just saving 1 or 2 days on projects, these systems usually pay for themselves. And in reality, you'll actually save weeks or months on projects when you use these systems, when you get more consistent results completing construction and commissioning. So from everything we've talked about, it's clear that you need these systems and processes on your projects. The question is then, how are you going to get this done? How are you going to make this transition to standardized systems and processes for your commissioning on projects? Do you want to tackle this on your own? Or do you want some help to make this transition as pain-free as possible? You can do this on your own. You can implement new commissioning systems and processes on your projects, and you can try some trial and error on a few projects, and you can see what works and you can see what doesn't, and probably make some costly mistakes along the way. And this is a totally legitimate way to go. This is what I did over the last 10 years to get this stuff all figured out. You can select new software on your own and you can try to get it all set up, and you can attend a few software demos, which, let's face it, never really gets you to the nuts and bolts of what you want to see anyways in these systems. You can try to cut through all the sales jargon and maybe you end up with the right software, or maybe you don't when you realize 12 months later that the software you chose can't really do what you were told that it could. You can try to fit this into your already busy schedule and find some time to get this done, but I don't know too many people on projects that are sitting around on their thumbs looking for something to do. You're busy. You can try to roll out new systems and processes to your team on your own and develop your own training material so that you can onboard your team to this new way of working. And despite your best efforts, maybe you still get stuck with the way it's always been done and you still end up with your spreadsheets because I understand change is not easy in large organizations, and it's the reason that a lot of projects are still stuck using spreadsheets. However, we want to make this as easy as possible for you so that you can get the systems and processes you need to standardize and streamline your commissioning. So, what if I offered to replace your old commissioning spreadsheets with new systems and processes that include top rated commissioning software that's best for your projects with electronic forms, digital workflows, and a custom training package to onboard your team without the sales jargon at multiple sales demos trying to evaluate the best options, without taking time away from your already busy schedule, without having to spend time creating and digitizing all of your checklist templates on your own, without having to spend time configuring your software with all your project specific details, and without having to develop your own training material to onboard your team to the new software so that you can ultimately capture the knowledge of your wise commissioning experts, have a consistent method to onboard new commissioning team members to your projects, and so that you can complete commissioning much more efficiently and much more consistently than you're currently doing right now with your spreadsheets. Would you take me up on that offer to position yourself for commissioning success now and into the future and ultimately save time and money on projects? Our three-step process makes it super simple for you to get the systems and processes you need to standardize and streamline your commissioning. It doesn't have to take months. With our support, you can be training your team to use these new systems in a matter of weeks. Your commissioning challenges don't have to feel so daunting. Our three-step process makes it super simple to eliminate your biggest commissioning problems and get world-class commissioning processes for your projects to standardize and streamline your commissioning. With our support, you get a complete commissioning solution that solves all your biggest commissioning problems. You get a method to capture the knowledge of your wise commissioning experts before they retire, with systems to standardize your commissioning methods and workflows, because they will retire at some point and take all that expertise with them. You get a method to onboard new commissioning team members to your projects with custom training specific to your workflows, because you're going to need to bring new people to your projects as you grow and expand and take on this huge project workload that's ahead of us. And you get customized and standardized commissioning processes with electronic checklist templates and digital workflows so you can complete commissioning much more consistently and efficiently than you currently are with your spreadsheets to ultimately save time and money on projects. You get a complete commissioning solution when you get our support to solve the biggest commissioning challenges that you're faced with, to position yourself for success now and into the future, and allow you to complete projects much more efficiently during commissioning. If you truly want to be great at commissioning and position your group to grow and expand in the future, then this is the way to go. You get a complete commissioning solution with a proven rollout strategy so you can have confidence that you have a robust plan to address the biggest commissioning challenges that you're faced with. So the next step is then for you to see what this could look like on your projects, to see the software systems, to standardize the processes. How is your commissioning expertise actually captured in these streamlined workflows? Basically, how does this address the commissioning challenges that you're facing? So what you need to do is book a free consultation on our website. You can go to commissioningandstartup.com. In the menu at the top, that first big red arrow, click on solutions. And then at the bottom of that menu, click on free consultation. Once you click this link, answer a few questions about your projects. Then on the next page, select a time to meet for your free consultation. I'll send you a Microsoft Teams link for the meeting, and you can join that on the date and time that you have selected. It's super simple to see how these systems and processes address your commissioning challenges now and in the future when you book your free consultation. We've made the transition to digital systems and workflows much easier with our 3-step process to guide you at every step along the way. You don't need to try to figure this out on your own. You can get a world-class solution for all your commissioning problems that sets you up for success now, and so you can continually improve on future projects. So go to commissioningandstartup.com and book your free consultation right now. This is perfect for companies that need to standardize and streamline commissioning with new systems and processes, but just haven't been able to get it done over the years. Maybe you've thought about this for a while, that you need a way to pass your commissioning methods to your younger team members, but just haven't been able to make this happen because you're busy on projects. Well, now there's an easy way to get it done. Or maybe you've got a new project or a new department that you're getting set up and you want to get started in the right direction. Our services make it easy for you to get the systems and processes you need and get set up with standardized commissioning methods right away so you can complete commissioning as efficiently as possible. Get our help to build out the systems and processes you need for commissioning so you can get it done fast and be ready for your next project. We also have a good option for individuals who would like to learn how to do this on their own. We do have a self-study option available. This is also a great option for onboarding new team members to your commissioning team. Maybe they have a very strong technical background, but they need to understand the commissioning process and how to apply their technical expertise within the commissioning process. Well, this is a good way to bring them up to speed fast so they can start contributing to your team right away. I'll send you the link to our Commissioning Academy training program as well, so you can check that out if you'd like to check it out for yourself or for onboarding people into your commissioning team. Now, you may not be the decision maker on projects, and that's okay. That's very common. We all work in large team environments, so you're likely going to need to talk to others. So there's two things you can do. You can book a call and we can have a chat first, so you have all the information that you need before you go talk to others within your organization, or you can book a call and invite others to the call as well. You can bring your manager, bring your director, and we can all discuss together how this looks and how it can be applied to your projects, whichever you prefer. Either way, go to commissioningandstartup.com right now and book your free consultation. What I've noticed is you can literally change the entire trajectory of your projects when you implement the right systems and processes for commissioning, because you're able to standardize your construction completion and commissioning processes to complete commissioning much more efficiently and avoid wasted time and effort on projects. So if you're serious about completing capital projects during commissioning, go to commissioningandstartup.com and book your free consultation to see what this looks like on your projects. We'll help you build out the systems and processes you need so you can capture your wise commissioning experts' knowledge and expertise, attract the skilled labor that you need on projects, and complete commissioning as efficiently and consistently as possible. All, of course, so that you can save time and money on projects. Awesome. So that's the end of the presentation that I have for today. I do have some additional time for Q&A. If there's any questions, shoot them into the chat and I'll get them answered here now. While you do that, while you think of some questions to ask, I typically do get some common questions at this point in the presentation. So I'll go through those and you can add any other questions that you have into the chat and I'll get those answered. So people often ask me, well, why do I need commissioning software? Our spreadsheets have been working just fine for us. We've been using those for quite some time and we're getting projects completed with that, with our spreadsheets. We've got our macros perfected and they're helping us track things well. Without a system or without standardized processes, then you're relying 100% on people to get the job done. And that will only get you so far, because the good commissioning people are getting harder and harder to find. And when your good people retire or move on to other projects, then you've got nothing except your outdated spreadsheets. If you want to transfer commissioning knowledge to younger generations, then don't write a document, because nobody's going to read that document. And if they do read it, they're not going to understand it. Build your processes in how you do your work right into the software workflows, right into the software tools that people use on a daily basis. You're never going to get that in spreadsheets. Spreadsheets just can't manage a workflow. So if you want to grow and expand and take on more projects, then you can't rely entirely on your people. You need systems and processes to back them up. It's the only way to survive on projects with the challenges that we're faced with in the industry and as projects continually to get more and more complex. So another question I often get is, well, why do I need processes to manage commissioning? Why wouldn't I just go get PMP certified and that'll tell me how to manage my projects? Well, when you look at PMI's information, it's pretty light on details to finish capital projects. PMI covers how to start a project and they briefly cover quality management, but there is nothing in there on the processes or tools required for commissioning project management. The stuff we help people with just isn't included in PMP. And I think this is why there's so much confusion in the industry, is because finishing capital projects during commissioning just isn't taught to project managers. Systems and processes for commissioning are the missing piece of what's required to actually finish capital projects. So if you're planning to get your PMP, that's still a good thing to do, and you should do that, but you're still going to be missing the systems and processes to finish capital projects, and that's something that we help you with. So people often ask me, do these commissioning systems and processes apply to all industries? Now, there is a distinction between technical commissioning and commissioning project management. All projects, of course, do technical commissioning differently. Every project has unique technical requirements. The breakers to close and the valves to open, they're always project specific. The technical commissioning aspects are always different. Even two projects within the same industry, they're always going to be having specific technical details, right? However, the processes and software for commissioning project management, this applies to all industries, regardless of the technical details. The same risk mitigating steps that we've discussed today need to be taken on all capital projects in all industries. It's always the same risk-based approach to manage commissioning so that your project-specific technical testing goes much better at the end. So the commissioning project management principles that we use, that we teach in our programs here and help people establish with the systems and processes, they apply to all complex projects. So process systems, energy systems, all complex projects involving mechanical, electrical, and automation equipment that needs to work together as one functional plant process at the end of projects. So to answer the question, yes, these commissioning systems and processes apply to all industrial plant processes. And the last question I typically get is people ask if they can do this later. They say, this all sounds good, but they're busy. They don't have time, or they think it might be too earlier in their projects to start looking at this stuff. And I totally get it. Projects life is busy. You're getting several hundred emails a day, and you need to focus on the current issues of the day rather than look forward to the end of the project for technical testing. But that's why we're here. We know you're busy, and we want to make it easy for you to get the systems and processes you need for commissioning before it's too late on your projects. If your project has already started, then it's already time to get these systems and processes set up. Don't miss your chance. Get this done before the damage is already done on your project and there's nothing that you can do to fix it. You need to get some urgent items in place now for commissioning to go well later. So go to commissioningandstartup.com and book your free consultation call. I'll show you what you need to get set up right away before the damage is done and you're stuck with cowboy commissioning just fighting fires later. Okay. So I don't see any more questions in the chat, so let's end it there for today. Go to commissioningandstartup.com and book your free consultation call to see what standardized systems and processes for commissioning could look like on your project. As well, watch your email over the next few days. I'll send you the links that we discussed, including I'll send you a link to this replay so you can share it with others or watch it again. It's always helpful to show this to others working on your projects and how this all works. I'll send you the link to the software list so you can review the list of software platforms that are available for you to choose from. I'll send you the link to the commissioning process flowchart so you can review each stage of the commissioning process and make sure you're not missing anything in your projects. I'll also send you the link to book your free consultation call so we can have a chat and I can show you what the systems and controls to standardize your commissioning could look like on your projects. So I want to thank everybody for joining. Hopefully you found the information helpful. I trust that you did. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message. I'll be happy to help you out, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks.